Hello. If you've clicked on this video, it is either because of the title, the thumbnail, or possibly even a combination of both. However, if you're here, thank you. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, first things first, a little bit of background on me. My name is Reed. I am a former touring drummer, former news anchor, and now current communications and videographer person thing, I don't know. This video I will be talking about how I have lost and kept off 135 pounds over the past, 5 or 6 years. I'll start far back. I'll start with early childhood and kind of, things I saw and felt as a kid and kind of how that played a role in all of that. And then we'll go all the way into where I'm at today in 2024, the end of 2024. First things first, let's clear up some important things. Number one, I'm not a doctor. Not only am I not a doctor, even more importantly, I am not your doctor. I know nothing about you if you're watching this video. I know nothing about your medical past or your potential medical future. All I can do is shed some insight on things that have worked for me, or things that I have done in order to help me lose weight or keep weight off or anything of that nature. However, another important thing is whatever I did or have done or could do or continue to do may not work for you. We are all very different. That's what makes us all ever so great and perfect in the world. But that also has some drawbacks. If I say I did nothing but eat broccoli for a week straight and lost 100 pounds, that may not work for you. However, maybe it will give you some inspiration or maybe even give you some tips into something you can do yourself that might help you. I am making this video because way back when I first started my weight loss journey, videos such as this one were very instrumental in helping me lose weight. They were very instrumental in me learning where to start, learning where to pick up in the middle of the road, things of that nature. So yeah, let's get into it. I'll try to be brief, but let's get into my childhood. Okay, so yes, you know a little bit about me. My name is Reed. I was born just outside of Kansas City, Missouri. I was a very active child. Played a lot of sports, a lot of baseball, basketball, football, things of that nature. However, I was always a bigger kid. I would say I am the height that I am right now. I'm around 5'9", 5'10". I was that height in about 5th or 6th grade. That made for a really fun time because when I would play baseball, the other parents on the other team would be like, hey, that kid doesn't look 12. And my mom would be like, hey, guess what? I have his birth certificate.
This guy's 50. He's got a mustache.
Not according to birth certificate.
But no, seriously. I felt fully grown. I was my height that I am now, back then, but I was always a little bigger. I was kind of a binge eater, a prone binge eater, even at that young age. If I hung out with friends, if I was at a birthday party, it was not uncommon for me to knock back 6 bowls of ice cream. Your boy loved and still loves the ice cream. I grew up in a Hispanic-centered family. My mother was born in Costa Rica in Central America. So my diet as a kid was actually extremely healthy. A lot of chicken, a lot of rice, a lot of beans, lettuce, avocado, fresh veggies, things of that nature. I was always around very healthy food. And that, I think, is where, when I look back on kind of where I am now and kind of how I got, out of hand when I gained a lot of weight through my younger years, it wasn't what was taking place at home. It's kind of what I did on my own. But yeah, it was always athletic. Just again, as a young kid, I knew I was bigger. I got picked on relentlessly in elementary school for being bigger and being a little chubbier, things of that nature. So that was kind of tough. But looking back, I was. You look at the pictures, I was larger than your average 10-year-old. I was larger than your average 13-year-old. It's just unfortunate that things like that had to happen, but hey, life goes on. Okay, high school career. So I just mentioned that, I started touring in bands at a young age, and that took place during high school. High school is also a tough time, lots of tests, girls, dating, that's fun, things like that took place. High school is, when a lot of that pressure, a lot of that depression, things, start to kick in for people. Things get a little heavier as you start to deal with tests and homework and things like that. I was part of the marching band. Didn't march though, was part of the pit percussion, so I didn't move a lot, but I was on my feet, however. Had practices early in the morning, late at night, Didn't really play high school sports or anything. I played in rec leagues when I got the chance to. However, the music taking over kind of started that unhealthy eating habit thing, especially when I got my driver's license. Because when I got my driver's license, I had access to fast food whenever I wanted it. If it was 11 at night, I could go get a Big Mac. If it was midnight, I could go get a burrito. And on my way home from school, I could get a slushie or get whatever I wanted. And some days I would do all of that. So yeah, that was really fun. It was also really fun when I would attempt to court a young lady and they would say, no, I'm not interested because you are a little too fat for me. Anyway, that's kind of when I noticed as well, like, yeah, I'm kind of a bigger guy. However, you know, that's not very nice. Again, bands played a big role. As I started to tour, you know, some of the food options weren't really a thing. My mom's healthy cooking wasn't really around when you're touring or when you're, you know, hanging out with friends until 6, 7, 8 at night. Although I was a binge eater, so what I would do is hang out with friends, we would go get fast food, and then I would come home and eat the leftovers. So yeah, that wasn't exactly too fun, but I knew, you know, it wasn't healthy, but the stress of school, the stress of playing music, trying to make music, you know, my thing, discovering yourself, trying to be the teen who's cool and fit in and not playing sports, that's kind of, you know, when all of that was happening. I would say towards the end of high school, I knew I was big. I was probably pushing around 270, 280. I was around other friends who were also big, and so I kind of felt like I wasn't outside of the normal. However, it would come to, you know, it would come to some times where maybe we all wanted to go get one specific band shirt. You know, I was in the community of people who really liked metal and pop punk and punk rock, and a lot of that back in the day always was around that tight-fitting, form-fitting clothes, and I couldn't really fit into that, and that was kind of upsetting. So, you know, maybe at my local Hot Topic, I would have to get the 3XL or the 2XL, or, you know, sometimes a band would only have a 2XL, and I needed the 3XL, so I would have to pivot and get another shirt, and that would be a little upsetting. So I knew I was big. You know, all my other friends could get the mediums or the larges, and I needed the double XL. And so that kind of hurt, but I didn't think much of it. You know, I kept playing with bands and kept trying to do my thing and figure myself out. Upon graduating high school, I would say I was at my close to heaviest. I was probably 275 to 280 pounds. And again, I was the same height that I was in 6th grade. And so that was kind of tough to see, you know, all my friends in their smaller gowns and me in my larger gown. But didn't think much of it. All I knew is that after high school, I really wanted to chase music and to try to do something, you know, that I loved and what my passion was. And not many kids in high school, you know, can say that they missed a lot of their sophomore year because they were touring and they were in LA or cutting a record in Cleveland or things of that nature. And, you know, I got to say that. And that's really cool, and I'm so thankful for those moments. But, you know, those moments played a really big role and a really big part in, you know, my size and my weight and things of that nature. But, you know, high school was over at this point, and so I was really trying to head forward. And so, yeah, I was just excited to be done and, you know, try to see where things went from that. Collegiate career. So this was super fun. I started college. I started a little later after trying to do the whole music thing. Music didn't really pan out, which is totally fine. I mean, who's keeping track of that? Not me.
Here lies Squidward's hopes and dreams. What a baby.
After I chased music for as long as I could, I was, you know, working a part-time sales job at my local mall and wanted to chase music as far as I could. Didn't really pan out. So I started school, and I would say at this point, after a couple years of really trying to do the band thing post high school, I was at my biggest weight. I was around 300 pounds. Again, same height that I was in around 6th grade. And yeah, I was a big guy. I was wide, I needed double XL t-shirts, triple XL t-shirts, things of that nature. And not only were they big, but they didn't fit great. Like the shirts were long, I looked not great. I can't really walk around campus without getting too winded. I'm walking into my classes, dumping sweat as I'm walking around. I'm feeling bad. I don't feel good about myself. I know I look bad. I know that I'm not the best version of myself I can be. I'm really defeated after trying to do music and trying to do all this stuff and, you know, chase what I'm passionate about. And it just wasn't working. You know, my life wasn't where I wanted it to be at that point. But I was trying to better it. I was really trying my hardest to better it. I feel like most people know the moment they need to make a change, and a lot of it is kind of the same. There was a wedding, former bandmate's wedding, that me and some other bandmates went to. And I feel like most people know that they need to make a change based off of a picture. And for most, it's a wedding picture, and for me, it was precisely a wedding picture. I remember seeing this picture because I went to the wedding, had a great time, and I remember seeing it the next day. My former bandmate texted all of us who were there and said, "Hey guys, thanks so much for coming to my wedding. Had a fantastic time with you all. Here's some photos from the lovely day." And I open up this drive of images and immediately just burst into tears when I see them because I hate the way I look. And the way I looked in these photos were not the way I thought I looked in real life. Don't get me wrong, I knew that I was big. I knew that I had extra weight. I knew that I looked rough, but I didn't know that I looked like that. Especially next to my other bandmates who looked good, who were thin, who looked sharp, who looked handsome. I thought I looked handsome. I went out and bought that shirt brand new the day before. I went out and bought jeans for that day or slacks for that day. And I just remember the defeat that I felt when I saw that. And I remember looking in the mirror and just telling myself like, okay, from here on forward, it's time to make a change. So I'm at this point in my life and I'm sitting at like 325 pounds. I'm a new college student. I'm extremely depressed and I'm trying to recover from this weird ankle injury I got from playing in my adult baseball league. I don't like where I'm at in my life right now. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I look, and I just saw these pictures that just confirmed that I look even worse than I feel. So I literally hop on Google and I stumble upon YouTube videos and I'm watching things, I'm reading Reddit forums, best diets, best workouts, best things to do to lose weight. And I stumble upon a YouTube channel called Obese to Beast, and I still love John Glaw. I'm so thankful to stumble upon his stuff at the time because his wisdom and the things that he had gone through were so similar to mine, even to the point that, you know, a wedding photo is kind of what kicked him into high gear to working out and to making the change in his life. And even so, I was able to hook him up with a couple of shirts from my clothing brand as kind of a thank you just this past year in 2024. And so I'm so thankful to have stumbled upon his channel, but I'm watching his channel religiously, trying to take as much away from his channel as I can and just read up on best dieting practices and best workout practices and the best things that I can do as a young male to lose weight at that time. And he mentioned something that I thought was easy. He said, let's just, you know, cut out the junk, the pop, the ice cream, the cookies, the sugar, and let's eat less and move more. And I said, that doesn't sound that hard. You know, like theoretically that couldn't be as hard as I'm making it out to be, right? Like that can't be impossible. And you know, I'm a college student, I was working a full-time job, so I kind of drastically changed my diet overnight, which was a big help. I cut out the junk, no more sugary pop, no more cookies, ice cream, junk like that. I sub out the burgers for salads, and I sub out the junk fast food for, you know, healthy pastas and salmon and rice and chicken and broccoli and things like that. And I'm not a picky eater. I will eat anything. I love different cuisines, so I followed, you know, a lot of Mediterranean, and it was great. I wasn't, you know, dying because of what I was eating. I was enjoying eating still. It was still fun for me. For a lot of people, the diet can be a tough part, but for me, it wasn't bad. And on top of this diet change, you know, I'm trying to find a way to work out. But at this point in my life, I'm 325 pounds and I am terrified to go to a gym. I am so unbelievably scared to go to a gym. The last thing I want is to go to a gym and be big and huffing and puffing and sweating and gross and nasty and feeling like everyone in there is pointing and laughing and making fun of me. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm trying to find a way to work out, but I'm too scared to go to a gym. And then one day I have this brilliant idea to just do it at home. So I open up my bank account one day and I've got like $1,000 in there. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go buy the most expensive treadmill that I can at the time. And I'm gonna put it in my house. I was living at home at the time. I'm gonna put it in my home and I'm gonna do this at home. I'm gonna find a way to make this happen at home. So me and my mom go to our local Dick's Sporting Goods, our local sporting goods store, and I walk to the back where their cardio equipment was, and I find this great treadmill, and it's like 900 bucks. And again, I've got like 1,000 to my name. And I'm like, oh, do I want to do this? This is a risk, this is a lot. You know, what if I don't do it? What if I don't commit? What if I don't fully do this? That's a lot of money. And I could use this money for something else, but let's be real, like, I wasn't doing anything. I was buying fast food. I was like blowing it on dumb stuff and going to concerts and like, I mean, I need to have fun too, you know, but like I could do this for something so much more and so much better to better myself. You know, conveniently back there by the cardio equipment, there's this full body mirror, and I look in it and I see that same person that I'm like trying to actively get rid of. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm all in. If I'm at the casino, I'm putting it all on black at this point. Like, I can do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna hold myself accountable, and I'm gonna make this happen. And so I bought it. And I tell myself the next morning that like, okay, today is the day. I'm telling myself, give myself a pep talk. I'm gonna hop on this and I'm gonna go at it. And today's the day, let's start. So I hop on there and I get like 12 minutes into this workout. And I loved this treadmill because it was one of those ones that had like the pre-installed workouts where you just selected it and you just walked and it changed your incline and changed your speed for you. And I get 12 minutes into it and I feel like I'm dying. I like hop off, I'm dripping sweat, hair sticking to my face, and I am just gross. And I run to the bathroom and I'm like spitting up in the sink and I'm splashing water on my face and my heart's like pumping out of my chest. And I'm like, oh dude, like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna be able to do this. This is too hard. But at the same time, I remember feeling this sense of like relief, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, no, like this is where it starts. Like we have to start somewhere. Like 12 minutes is like the baseline. Like we can't get any worse. So I told myself, tomorrow let's do 14 and then we'll do 16. And so that's exactly what I did. Every single day after, I just did 2 minutes more. So we did 14, 16, 18, 20, up until we hit 30. And when I hit 30, man, that was like a milestone. That was a huge deal to hit 30 minutes consecutive on that treadmill. And after a few weeks of doing 30 minutes on the treadmill, like I can visibly see myself losing weight. Like I started dropping weight quick. I went from 325, I would say, to about 270 in a matter of around a month or two, because I just had so much to lose. My weight carried all in my midsection and in my hips and like my butt and thighs, and it just slimmed. Like my clothes were just falling off of me at that point. And at that point, my family took notice and they were like, man, we can see it. You're doing really good. And so they started like giving me like shorts and sweats, and they were like, we found these on sale, like here you go, we can see it, keep it up, good job. And they were a huge motivation at that part too. And so then for like birthdays and Christmas, I started getting like pre-workouts and proteins, and that started helping so much, because then that was less I had to fork out of pocket, and was a huge influence and started like helping me figure things out as I went down this, you know, fitness journey I was getting myself into. At that point, I start looking into like lifting weights. What does that do? And so I find a really cheap set on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and things like that. So then I'm doing 30 minutes of curls and incline press from this little bench I bought. And then I'm doing 30 minutes of walking on top of that. And then I start slimming up real quick. And I go from 270 down to like 250 in another month. And everyone's like, man, you're looking really good. Like we can tell you're really hitting it hard. And coworkers are noticing and people in class are noticing. And it felt really good to make that much progress that fast. The downside to all this, unfortunately, and what many people realize too when they start to do, you know, get this deep into weight loss, is I hit that first plateau. And I remember it so vividly because it sucked so bad, because it lasted for around 5 months. I was stuck at 255 pounds and could not lose that weight. And it literally took me, you know, traveling across the country with a friend. I traveled with him to go purchase a vehicle. And we flew from Missouri to California. We picked up his car and we drove it back. And I didn't work out for around 5 days. And during that 5-day trip, you know, we were eating nothing but fast food, and we were just sitting and, you know, driving. We were in a car driving for 4 or 5 days. But when I got back, I weighed myself and I had lost 5 pounds. And so it took that to break that plateau. And so I kind of started realizing, you know, how important resting was and rest days were, and maybe a cheat meal here and there, because I was just hitting my body so hard with healthy movement that, you know, every now and then it did need a break. That was okay. You know, I knew it was okay at that point. And so I'm keeping this up and I'm doing everything at home. I'm lifting and lifting and running, and I go from 325 at my heaviest, all at home, down to like 200 pounds. I lose a majority of my weight at my own home. I did it all inside my house, and I remember being so scared to go to a gym and being petrified to go to a gym. But it's to the point where I was losing it all at home and I wasn't hanging out with anybody. I was so focused on fitness and losing weight and all of this that I hadn't seen any friends in so long that I would go hang out with a friend once every 4 months and they'd be like, man, you look awesome. You look great. Congrats, we're proud of you. Look how good you look. And I remember also feeling really bad because no one ever told me that when I was at my heaviest. And that's something I really wish I knew, would happen when I started losing weight. It was that like people are gonna treat you so different. I never got complimented when I was at my heaviest. Like no one ever complimented the big Reed. And the current Reed, my resting weight right now in 2024 is anywhere from 180 to 190 pounds, but no one ever complimented the big Reed. And I'm the same person, I'm the same music freak and baseball freak and person who has the same sense of humor and the same everything. But it was like it went completely unnoticed because they didn't like the exterior. And that was hard. And, showed a lot of the way the world looks at you. It's really different too when it came to, attention from the opposite sex. To put it nicely, I didn't receive nearly as much attention when I was at my heaviest as I did when I was at my lightest or, currently anything of that nature. It was like I was an afterthought. And so that was hard. And it went to show that, your exterior does play a big deal. And it's a really big mind game, to see the difference of, the way people view you and the way people think and the way people are more willing to talk to you and the way people are more willing to hear you out when you look the way they want you to look. So I finally go to my first gym with a really close friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world. Shoots me a text message one day and says, hey man, I'm going to the gym. Would you like to come with me? And at this point I had gone from 325 down to, 195. I'm somewhere around 200 pounds. And I'm still like petrified. I'm reading this message and I'm just reading it. And I'm like, man, I don't know. When do you want to go? And he's like, well, I go real late at night, maybe 11 or midnight. And I'm like, okay, I could probably do that. No one's there. I was still so scared of someone seeing me that I didn't want to go if the idea was there that like anyone could see me. Like that was such a scary thought. So he says that we're gonna go at midnight. So I finally go, and that's a huge deal too because I'm going with a close friend. Like we can joke around, we can laugh at each other, we're there together, and we go to this gym and it's a cool gym. It's small and kind of an intimate one, but there's good equipment. And from there, I'm hooked. I was, getting good pumps and love the equipment, and I'm trying a squat rack for the first time, and I'm doing overhead dumbbell press and trying all this different stuff, and I'm having a blast. And so this is where I see the biggest improvement as I start to get lean. So I go from my absolute heaviest just a few years prior of around 325 pounds down to my leanest of 175 pounds. I'm lifting heavy weight, I'm having fun, I'm trimming up, I'm still full-time college, I'm still working, I'm having a blast. And I just couldn't believe that me going into that sporting goods store and buying that treadmill led all the way to that. So that was me from my heaviest to my lightest. And since then, my lightest was 175 pounds back pre-COVID, and I've been able to keep that off. My current resting weight at the time of this video in late 2024 is around 185, 190. That 175, don't get me wrong, was really cool. I had a lot of fun, but those workouts were grueling. I was there 2 hours a night sometimes, and I also didn't have nearly as demanding of a schedule as I do now. But I've learned so much since then. That Reed back in the time made a lot of mistakes. He would try a lot of really experimental diets and weird things he probably shouldn't have. He would watch videos on people who just drank protein powder and water for 3 meals a day for a week, and he tried that. That's not healthy. Don't do that, please. Please eat real food. Please take your time. Please be smart. If you are feeling faint, if you go to the gym completely empty stomached with a double scoop of pre-workout and feel like you're gonna pass out, don't do that, please. Old Reed did that. But no, seriously, at this point in my life, I'm all about moderation, not deprivation. Old Reed was big time about deprivation, counted every single calorie, which is fine. I still use MyFitnessPal daily, but I did it to an extreme at some point. There were some days where if I ate a little bit too many calories, I would maybe skip a meal, which there's some pros and cons to that, but I still to this day am all more so about, food is your fuel. I always say that if my body is a car, it needs gas. I can't expect to go outside and run 4, 5, 6 miles on an empty tank. What did I learn throughout all of this? Well, I learned that it's really hard and it takes time. You can rush things, but please do not. It is not safe, it is not healthy, it is not worth it. Please, please, please take your time, be healthy, be smart. Also, whatever reason you have for losing weight is totally valid. If you want to lose weight because you really want to look good naked, that is okay. If you want to lose weight to be healthy, great, that is okay. If you want to lose weight for any number of reasons, that is okay. Lose weight for you, for whatever your reason is, just be healthy and smart about it, please. That's kind of it as far as what I did. I didn't really touch on what I ate. That might be another video maybe, I don't know. I'm just kind of talking here, I don't really know. Diet and exercise, that's pretty much all I did. Just more so summed up, I was a horrific binge eater, ate a lot of food. I would binge eat, a lot of fast food, a lot of sugary drinks. I cut that out, started moving more, started eating less. I really had no direction. I just wanted to share this story because again, stories like this are the reason that, I was able, to kind of help on my journey and kind of help me and gave me inspiration, to do things myself. So yes, anything additional you would like to hear or see, please leave a comment. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if content like this is interesting to you. And again, anything else you would like to hear, please let me know. Description, you can follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok and all my other social media. Please check out my clothing company, Corporate Inc. I'm wearing one of our shirts right now. You can see the banner behind me. We are a tattoo-inspired clothing brand operated right here in Fargo, North Dakota. Please guys, if you've made it this far, I am so appreciative of you watching this far. And yes, anything additional, please shoot me a DM, leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.